The course of the river. At first glance, it is as constant as the seasons, as powerful as nature herself. This river has many tributaries, many stories to tell, stories scattered about through time and linked by the constant flow of progress and nature. This one river, the Farmington, has divided communities while uniting peoples. This one river, the Farmington, has been a source of devastating destruction, only to create life anew. This one river, the Farmington, has defined history, shaped the present, and will forge tomorrow. Many names and many stories flow through this one river, the Farmington River. Originating in Massachusetts, the Farmington, made up of many tributaries, flows down into Connecticut, ending 81 miles later in the state's first community, the town of Windsor, where it connects with the Connecticut River, which flows south to Long Island Sound, then finally into the Atlantic Ocean. As with most rivers, the Farmington was formed thousands of years ago by massive glaciers that moved down from the north, ending at what we now know as Long Island. As the glaciers retreated, they deposited huge amounts of rocks, sand, and sediment, creating the New England landscape and rivers we see today. The Farmington River's first settlement came on September 26, 1633, when the Plymouth Trading Company from Plymouth, Massachusetts, settled near the mouth of the river. This made Windsor the site of the first English settlement in Connecticut history. However, there were thousands calling the Farmington River home much earlier than that. Native American communities thrived along the banks of the Farmington River. These communities carved out sophisticated communal systems of government, food production, and family life. However, not all was peaceful along the idyllic shores of the Farmington. Division among the Native Americans would create a doorway for European settlers to enter. In 1631, war erupted between two Native American tribes. This prompted one tribe to invite the newly arrived English to settle along the Farmington River, in hopes that the new inhabitants would ally themselves and their firearms against the warring tribe. This led to decades of settlement and squatters all up and down the Farmington River. Many disputes and divisions erupted as factions struggled for the fertile and coveted land. Many of these divisions were settled by using the river itself as a natural barrier. In turn, this natural barrier at times caused strife among Windsor residents. When the 1761 church building, located south of the river, needed replacement, church members living north of the river promised to raise the bridge causeway above the floodplain and build a new school south of the bridge if the church were built on their side of the river. This argument prevailed and the present church building was constructed in 1794. If you lived in Windsor before 1749, you probably took a ferry if you wanted to cross the Farmington River. In 1749, an easier way of getting to the other side of the Farmington was erected. Throughout the years, many bridges were built and rebuilt, uniting peoples from opposite banks of the river. While bridges united communities across the river, the Farmington River itself united Windsor with America's early global economy, as it allowed easy access of ships laden with goods from the West Indies and Europe to Windsor's commercial centers. Trade, combined with industries such as shipbuilding, brickmaking, and tobacco, made the regions along the Farmington River thriving commercial centers. Tobacco has historically been Windsor's cash crop. creating opportunity and profit. Many acres of shade tobacco are still grown in Windsor, despite a decline in production due to America's changing health-conscious culture. Tobacco thrives in this region because of the fertile lands created by both the Farmington and Connecticut rivers' ability to unleash one of nature's most devastating plights. Despite human ingenuity and progress, the power of nature still has the final say. The Farmington, like any other river, is vulnerable to flooding. It can have devastating effects on the surrounding countryside, as well as creating land ripe for harvest. This cycle of birth, destruction, and rebirth is nothing new to the Farmington. In fact, it's what makes the river as scenic, as prosperous, and as thriving as it is dangerous and destructive. To prevent massive flood damage, inhabitants have identified prime floodplains where new building is prohibited and built dams to help control potential disaster. Dams have also provided electricity and power for the region. Despite these many benefits, these man-made marvels have contributed to perhaps a far more devastating environmental threat than the floods they help to control. From destruction comes life. Fishing has been a way of life along the Farmington for centuries. Thousands turn out for the annual Shad Derby Festival held every spring. It's during the spring that these fish swim up the Farmington River, depositing their eggs in the fresh water. After spawning, the shad return to the salt water of the Atlantic. Along with the shad, the Farmington plays host to many migrating fish: the lamprey, alewives, Atlantic salmon, sea-run brown trout, and striped bass. These fish not only can provide a good source of food and sport for humans, but also serve as an environmental gauge for the Farmington River. More fish indicate a healthier river ecosystem and environment. Although alewives, striped bass, and sea-run brown trout are in good supply, pleasing the fly fishermen, in recent years, environmentalists have seen a sharp decline in the salmon and shad populations. Many factors have contributed to this decline, yet it has been the man-made dams that have proven to be a major factor. These gigantic structures physically block the fish from swimming upstream to spawn. This has significantly altered the environmental landscape of many New England river systems. The Stanley Works, owner of the 59-foot-high Rainbow Dam and hydroelectric facility in Windsor, along with the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection, are taking significant steps to aid in the survival and prosperity of these fish in the Farmington River. A fish ladder at Rainbow Dam has been in operation for the last 3 decades, allowing certain species to migrate up and downstream. Visitors can come to the ladder during the spring and fall migratory seasons to get a possible glimpse of fish moving up the ladder and learn more about these significant river restoration efforts. This one river, the Farmington, has seen its fair share of division, unity, destruction, and creation. This one river, the Farmington, is home to thousands of people who enjoy the excitement, the benefits, and mystique it has to offer. This one river, the Farmington, will flow on into our future, presenting many occasions for growth, education, and prosperity.